Bartholomew Kuma. He might be one of the most impactful character in the One Piece universe. And I mean, he has impact on the story right now. For example, there are other characters like Gold Roger or Joy Boy who also has impact on the story. But they were in the past. They lived in the past. But Kuma was always right before our eyes. And as of right now, he is the only one who had an impact on the story. I mean, I guess, I'm not sure. Dragon is also planning on something, but we still didn't see Dragon taking action. So I can clearly say, as of right now, in the current timeline, Kuma is the character with the most impact on the story. Like, yeah, Gold Roger, Joy Boy and stuff, they started this pirate era, it's right. But in the present, it was only Kuma who did something. Like, what is one of the biggest events in One Piece? It's the time skip. And who made the time skip? It was Kuma. He sent the Straw Hats to different places in Sabaody. And he sent every Straw Hat to a good place. Like he sent Zoro to Mihawk. He sent Luffy to Rayleigh and stuff. Or he sent Frankie to Vegapunk. He sent every character to a place where they could improve their skills. So if the Straw Hats could improve, that's because of Kuma. And without him, the Straw Hats probably couldn't come this far. So Kuma was always one of the most important characters for the story. And there was also a big mystery around him. Like the first time when he was introduced as a tyrant, or he was like in the Shichibukai. He was one of the 7 warlords. He was called Tyrant. In his past, they said he was a revolutionary. In his past, they said he was a king. And he also had some connections with the revolutionaries. And it was also very obvious that Kuma has a good backstory. Because like the thing with Vegapunk, him giving all of his body to Vegapunk and letting them make whatever they want. Like there had to be a backstory for this. He gave up on his freedom, on his body, and made himself a slave. Like the spectrum is giant. He plays very significant roles in like different places, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I always thought like, dude, there must be something with Kuma. And the flashback really proved me right. I mean, was the flashback perfect? I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. It was almost perfect. There was some problems in the flashback, and I think Eiichiro Oda sometimes chooses the easy way. I'm going to explain that too. But in general, it was really good. I've made lots of videos about One Piece, and I remember saying this, Kuma's flashback might be one of the most important flashbacks in the One Piece history. Because like it is obvious, the guy was a Shichibukai, the guy was a king, the guy was a slave, the guy was a revolutionary, he was everywhere. He has some connections with Vegapunk because he became like a robot. He has some connections with Dragon and stuff. He also has some connections with the other Shichibukais, with Doflamingo and stuff. Even when we first saw him, he was introduced as a tyrant Shichibukai, and he was also in the first Shichibukai meeting. Like he was walking with Doflamingo, very funny and stuff. You remember that? And like it was very obvious, like Kuma is gonna be a deep character. He looks like he has no emotions, but he also like has very cute paws and stuff, or like his ears and stuff. His hat is very funny. He looks very cute, but he also looks like a Giga Chad. And then like he comes in Thriller Bark and you really got scared of him. And that moment in Thriller Bark is one of the most iconic moments in One Piece. Like we will never forget Zoro's sacrifice, but we also have to give Kuma credit. Yes, he made Zoro suffer, but he let them go, and that's also very respectable. And like after he leaves the Straw Hats, he says, Dragon, your son has very good companions and stuff. We had just learned about Dragon then, and like after that Kuma comes and we learn that Kuma has a connection with Dragon. Like it's pretty obvious Oda really built this character. And also his dialogues in Marineford with Ivankov, or like Bonnie getting angry when he sees Kuma fighting and stuff. Like it is so obvious Oda planned this character like 10 or even 15 years ago, and his story is really good, really deep. So the flashback was really good, but it was not perfect. Lots of things still remain as a secret even after Kuma's flashback. Like for example, when we saw Oden's flashback, we saw Gold Roger, we saw Whitebeard, we saw all of those legends, like we saw all of those people around him. But in Kuma flashback, we saw nothing. Like Eiichiro Oda still tries to keep Dragon as a secret. Like dude, show us how Kuma and Dragon met and how their relationship was. Like show us more, dude. But Oda is still gatekeeping Dragon for some reason. I don't know why. Like I really expected a flashback of Kuma together with Dragon. I was so excited and hyped up about this. But that didn't happen. And in some places of this flashback, I could really see Oda forcing us some things. I don't know, like some things didn't really add up. Some things were like really forced. Like Ginny's death and stuff. I feel like Oda really skipped lots of things. Like the story went a little bit too fast and he skipped lots of things. Like, okay, Ginny couldn't be rescued. Okay, she died. But like, why don't you directly show us that he was dead? You know what I'm saying? Like some things are left open. I'm very okay with them letting Ginny die in Merijoa because like we know Dragon is someone who would do anything for his cause and he would never risk a thing. So like when Ginny is captured and when she's gonna die, okay, we can't just do something dangerous and we can't just break our plan. We have a plan and we have to stay focused. So she's gone. Oh, I'm okay with that. I get it. And also like the revolutionaries trying to rescue Kuma in Merijoa. That was also not Dragon's plan. That plan was made by Sabo. He wanted to save Kuma and he also wanted to bring some destruction so he could like symbolize and he could like send a message to the celestial dragons. But like my problem is like they just didn't say, okay, we will not save Ginny. They just said, I don't know, it just happened. Suddenly Ginny was gone and they were suddenly okay with it. They didn't even talk about it. Like it was just covered up suddenly. I don't know, I would expect a little bit more. And then they showed us like Kuma got really angry because of this and he started to fight very aggressively and stuff. I don't know, it didn't really add up, you know what I'm saying? But let me tell you this, Eiichiro Oda really knows how to add up. Like he adds up to the story, he adds up and he adds up and he adds up. And dude, it was such a sad story. And right now the story will be published in the anime. And dude, like the first episode was so sad. I tried so hard not to cry. I mean, like, dude, the scene where he learned about his mother's death or the scene where his father died and stuff. Eiichiro Oda really knows how to write a deep, touching story and how to add up to a story. Like, and the God Valley incident, like, it became very sudden, you know what I'm saying? Suddenly they said, alright, we also will add the flashback of God Valley and stuff. That was a big surprise. And now we are waiting the God Valley incident in the flashback. It was a great flashback, I have nothing against that. But like, the only problem is Eiichiro Oda just skipped some parts, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, maybe he is in a rush, maybe he really wants to like pace up the story. This might be the reason. But like you really get it. Eiichiro Oda is like forcing some things or like he tries to make a faster story. He wants to pace the things up. And because like the flashback covers a whole story, like basically the whole life of Kuma, and that's why lots of things had to be skipped very fast. Maybe, I don't know. Like you also have to tell about his childhood, you also have to talk about his time in the revolutionaries, or also the time about, like you also have to talk about the God Valley incident, you also have to talk about his Shichibukai-time and stuff, and also like the reason why he decided to become a robot and give up on his life and stuff. I get it, they had to skip lots of things. I would really want that to be the only problem, but no. There is one more problem. Like guys, I'm gonna give you an example. Let's rewrite the Marineford arc. Imagine Whitebeard has like lots of wounds, he has like lots of gun wounds and stuff, and he has holes in his body and stuff, and before he dies, he says his last legendary words to Sengoku. The One Piece is real. You know what I'm saying? Imagine this scene. But imagine changing the story. Like the story suddenly changes. Marco and stuff, they take Whitebeard, they like escape with him together, and they take him to the ship, and Whitebeard is suddenly not dead and Whitebeard recovers somehow. They give him medical support and stuff and he lives. Would that be as effective as the original story? No, because Whitebeard was like a build-up character. We saw his flashbacks, we saw lots of things about him, and we saw him fighting legendary in Marineford. And then his death was a legendary moment. It was like added up. He was built up and at the end he died. That's what made him legendary. If he would like still live after this incident, I don't know, it wouldn't feel right. Right? It wouldn't be that effective. Like all of his flashbacks and stuff, or like his flashback where he says, I don't want treasure, I want a family. All of those things are legendary because he will die. All of those scenes were written because Whitebeard was gonna die. These scenes are not important if Whitebeard was not gonna die. Or like Ace, before dying, Ace says, thank you for loving me, thank you for having me as a friend, and then he falls down and he dies. But imagine he was not dead, he was just unconscious. Like, that would be such a bad story, right? And that happened in Kuma. Like Kuma came, he just punched Saturn and he just saved Bonnie and stuff. And dude, like, he had to die. Kuma had to die. It was like a perfect moment for Kuma to die. It would be legendary, dude. I swear to God. Like, we saw Kuma's flashback. We saw his childhood. We saw all of his trauma and stuff. We saw everything about him. And then he comes and like punches Saturn and stuff. And then he saves Bonnie. And at that moment, he had to die. Maybe like he had to see Luffy. He had to see like Luffy's Gear 5 form, and then he had to like realize that all of his beliefs were right, that all of his like, that Nika was there, that Nika was right, and he would smile a little bit and then die. Dude, that would be the perfect ending for Kuma, I swear to God. Like, dude, Eiichiro Oda, why didn't you kill him there? It was the perfect time, the perfect moment for Kuma to die. I don't get it, Eiichiro Oda. I don't see a reason why you didn't do that. You could make Kuma a legendary character, but you blocked that yourself. Like, that was a good chance. Like, Kuma was never a fan favorite character, but with this backstory, everyone respects Kuma, and you could have given him a very good death. You could make him a legendary character, and nobody would expect that. But no, you didn't. Like, dude, it would be so good if he would like see Luffy, and if he would like think, oh, okay, all of those things I've done in my life were not for nothing. Like, Nika really came. He would be like happy and smile maybe a little bit, and then he would like die. Dude, that would make him a legendary. I mean, it doesn't even matter how you kill Kuma. You just have to kill Kuma to make him a legendary character. That's all you have to do. Anyways, like, these are my thoughts. I don't know what you think. This flashback was definitely a 9.5 out of 10, and it could be a 10 out of 10. Like, the character is very interesting. His design is very interesting, and he's actually a very good character. Of course, we didn't know that, but his heart is like very pure, actually, just like Rosinante, and his power is like very interesting. He has a very strong devil fruit power. Like, he could be a legendary character just like Rosinante, or he could be actually much more legendary than Rosinante. He could be as legendary as Whitebeard. I'm serious. He had that potential. This flashback was okay. I mean, we learned about the Buccaneers, like a new race and stuff. I don't know if it was like important or not. Eiichiro Oda might go a little bit deeper on those Buccaneer things. Like, maybe they helped Joy Boy in the past and that's why they are like killed by the world government. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if it will have a big impact on the story, the thing with Buccaneers and stuff. So Kuma is definitely a character you could just sit and talk about for like hours. But I don't want to make this video so long. I want to thank you guys for watching the video, and also like write down in the comments if there are any topics or any different animes and stuff you want me to talk about. And also I would like to hear about your thoughts and comments. What do you think about this backstory? Do you think I'm right, or do you think maybe I'm thinking wrong? Just comment down your thoughts, and I hope I see you in the next video. Take care.